Sunday Spotlight is brought to you by Bay Area Children's Theater.
Hi everyone, it's me, Khalia Davis, the Artistic Director of Bay Area Children's Theater. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Spotlight. This is the show where we shine a spotlight on really cool people who are using their art to create positive impact in their industry and community. Today's guest is an accomplished dancer, motivational teaching artist, and all-around ball of light, Kimberly Marie Olivier. Here are 3 things you need to know about my friend Kim. Kim has been dancing since she was 3 years old. She loves combat sports training for workouts, particularly boxing and kickboxing. Kim is also a person of faith that diligently seeks truth. Welcome, Kim, to Sunday Spotlight. Yay!
Hi, Khalia. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. We're going to just jump right in. I ask all of my guests this question because we have some awesome kiddos out there watching and we want them to feel inspired. So we always ask our guests, who or what did you see as a kid that inspired you to actually pursue a career in the arts?
Wow, that's a big question because I have to go way back in my memory since I started dance at the age of 4.
Wow.
I remember seeing my first classical ballet production at the New York City Ballet, probably at the age of 7 or 8. I don't know if that is not what necessarily inspired me to pursue a career in it, but I knew that it existed. So the fact that I was like, oh, this is something that happens. But I would actually say when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, that is when I was taken on tour with Ballet Hispanico, which was the school that I was dancing at in New York City. And they were performing for the Hispanic Heritage Awards in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. Wow. So I was like the understudy. I had to keep going to these rehearsals, not even knowing if I would be attending this performance and performing in it. But I was, and I went at such a young age. And then it was televised. So before Netflix and Hulu and all these streaming platforms, it was just normal TV, cable TV. And me and my family, we were at home and the awards was being televised. And then I saw myself at the end, this little girl trickling behind the rest of the dancers, you know, in her costume. And that was the first time I saw myself on TV. So I was like, I'm going to be famous. Like, so at that age, that is when I knew I wanted to pursue dance because it meant being on TV or being able to like show, you know, my family and friends what I did. However, now that I am a ballet dancer, it's actually quite different from that particular experience because it wasn't ballet that I was performing at that age. So at the end of the day, though, that was kind of like that spark that inspired me to know that I could have a career in this.
Yes, that is awesome. And I love the fact that you got to see yourself and see all of the other amazing people who were participating in that awards and just be blown away by it to the point where you're like, oh, I actually could do this. We talk a lot about representation here, and we talk about why it's so important when young people get to see figures that look like them, share their same cultural background or lived experiences in front of them, doing something that they also really love. And so it was so good to hear that that was your experience as well. In fact, my next question actually has to do with the fact that as a professional ballerina, specifically in a form of dance that is really traditionally classical and looks a certain way, what has it felt like for you to see more dancers of color joining ballet, becoming part of professional dance companies, and really changing the makeup of what professional ballet dance and dance companies look like today?
Mm-hmm. Well, I will have to start off saying that there is still disparity and isn't as many dancers of color in large classical ballet companies as I would like to see. However, I have been seeing, especially on social media, where lots of the youth now get to showcase who they are, when before the platform wasn't as easily accessible to find. But now I see so many dancers from the United States, international dancers in other countries of color doing the art form of ballet. And not all of them are in a ballet company at this moment, but they have the skill set and the talent to easily get into a company, especially as, you know, world renowned as San Francisco Ballet, the company I dance with, or New York City Ballet, American Ballet Theater here in the United States, and worldwide. So that's encouraging for me to see that there are more dancers of color.
Based on what you were talking about, you mentioned how we still are not seeing a huge surge of beautiful people of color that are represented in a lot of the different dance forms professionally. And so my question to you is, how have you navigated being a part of a professional dance company and standing up for those like you who are joining year after year to make sure that they feel included and they feel like they belong there?
Right. So how I navigated through the dance world was kind of just pretending I fit in by by identifying myself with a fictional character in a movie called Center Stage that was played by Zoe Saldana. Later to find out her stunt double is Aisha Ash, who was actually a professional ballet dancer with the New York City Ballet. And my whole childhood, like my teenage years to my adulthood, trying to be like, this is my character and this is how I'm going to fit into the ballet world. I am strictly identifying as this fictional character that I've seen in this movie at a young age, maybe 10, 11, 12. And so I would say that was how I navigated, just identifying with this person. And then I also navigated because there was a dancer in the San Francisco Ballet who was a male dancer of color. And he was the one that kind of mentored me unofficially, especially when I got into the San Francisco Ballet Company. His name is Anthony Vincent Spalding. And he was really an anchor for me because he took me under his wing, and we had that understanding of, yeah, it's difficult in this art form, especially because you might have imposter syndrome, or you might feel like an outsider, and you're doing your best just to be the best ballet dancer you can be. And so when I see other dancers of color in the school, if they had joined our company rehearsals, I made an intentional effort to introduce myself, to look at them when they were dancing, to give them corrections, for them to improve their talent, and just to be open and say, I'm here for you. If you want to come and talk to me, you know, I'm friendly. And you can come and don't be shy. And I still do that to this day. Even though I left the company, I still reach out to dancers of color in my former company. And I've even met up with them and had conversations with these individual dancers, and keep in touch, watch them perform, and tell them how beautiful they looked, like for the Nutcracker, you know, and sending them DM messages. I'm like, I saw you perform, you looked amazing. And then also reaching out to other dancers that I might not know personally, but I follow them, for example, on Instagram, social media platform that a lot of younger dancers use as well, and just connect with them in that way.
I am so happy to hear that you embrace this idea of building up others, the younger generation, staying connected to them, generating some form of community so that they know that they aren't alone in this, that there are others like them that love the art of dance, that want to use it as their platform, that want to use it as their form of career. And so that is really inspiring to hear. And also, shout out to mentors. I think that it's really important that we recognize the individuals in our lives that help us get to where we want to be. I know I have some pretty awesome mentors that if I didn't have them at that time in my life, I don't know if I'd be here today. So, yes, I'm glad that you shouted out your mentor. That's awesome. So, we have all known that we've been going through such a difficult time, and especially in the industry of the arts, we've been pretty hard hit. And artists have had a difficult time finding ways to do what they love. So, what are ways or what were things that kept you connected to being creative, especially during, since you were in San Francisco? San Francisco is one of the places where we'd had serious lockdowns. You weren't allowed to go into the theaters anymore
Correct.
for about 18 months. What were some ways that you still were able to stay creative?
Okay, so I am completely grateful that we could use technology in a positive way. So Zoom, for example, blew up, right? Meaning that everyone started to use it, including dancers. And there was our mascot, I would say, in the company, Diego Cruz, who gathered us together and said, hey, let's start doing ballet class together, even within our own homes. And so we set it up, he set up our Zoom account, and we would just log in and we would all be taking our individual class, like our class individually together. And so that created that sense of community. Now, moving further on, what inspired creativity, I would say, was the fact that creating ballet or other individuals watching us dance, if we posted us, doing a ballet class at home and posted it on our social media page, and we can receive comments from individuals, even strangers, being encouraged by what they saw. And I was like, oh, this is helpful. And our company also caught on to that. And so they would ask, hey, if anyone wants to volunteer and send in any footage, that would be great, so we can share it with our community. And so we started creating footage on our own, and it was shared through the San Francisco Ballet's page, community pages, or whether it was email blasts or their social media. And that inspired creativity for me, because then I was like, oh, wait, even though I'm limited in the sense in my home and only a certain amount of space, but I have so many other resources, especially because I have a cell phone and I have a community, an online community that would love to see this. So I started creating my own pieces, music and songs that I had been wanting to dance to, in my own head. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to record myself, and then I'm going to share it. And then receiving that feedback, it created a community, and it was really inspiring. And another inspiration was I was commissioned to create a piece, and the person that was commissioning it sent it out, an email blast to a variety of artists saying, hi, I'm going to support you. Just send in whatever you would like during this time of struggle. And that motivated me very last minute since there was a deadline, but it motivated me to create something that I had, held in my heart for a while, and allowed me to express my emotions. And it was beautiful, and really discovering that you could create and finding the resources that you actually do have at your hand, and the community that appreciates the art that you share with others, and that sense of expression. That's what kept me during this pandemic. It kept me going. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear also that you had individuals in your own company who immediately thought, hey, we actually are doing the same thing. We might as well do it together. And even though we can't be physically in the same space, we can still find a way to make that connection happen and enjoy the fact that we're still working on our craft, still perfecting our art, and we can support each other and encourage each other the whole time. That is great. So I'm so happy to hear that. And speaking of your social media and all of the cool things that you do on your social media, I've truly admired the way that you are uplifting others, whether it is on your Instagram or anywhere else. I just noticed that you're constantly not only showcasing what you can do, but also what others can do. So why do you think it's important to shine a light on these other artists, specifically artists of color?
Right. So where my heart is when I share about others' successes is that I would have loved for that to be done for me, especially growing up at a young age, feeling alone or feeling that I had to be my own cheerleader. Even though I did have like a coach that would cheerlead me on, or certain, family members and friends, it really means a lot when you see other dancers supporting you. And for me, when I see someone else succeeding, that's my success as well. Regardless of if I know them very well or not, I feel that I want them to know that I acknowledge them, that I see what they're doing, and that I'm in support of their success. Especially when it comes to community, you can see different cultures and different races maybe supporting one another. And I find that it is extremely important for the community that I identify with to know that I am also supporting them, because I believe we are not meant to be alone in our journeys, and that when we do have a community of supporters, it makes such a huge difference. We weren't born on this earth alone. So why should we do things alone, and do what you want others to do for you is really how I felt led into sharing other people's, on my page.
This was wonderful. I am so happy that we have been able to connect in this way, and for us to be able to celebrate you and all of the wonderful things you've brought to the art of dance as a teacher, as a performer, and as my friend.
And speaking of tradition, I am more than just a ballet dancer. I do enjoy modeling and acting, and recently I have been developing my acting skills, which is really interesting because dance is acting essentially, especially in the larger ballets, but it's all body language, right? Just like, you do things like that, or like, I'm hurt,
Yeah.
So when it comes to acting in a film and you have actual lines to speak, that has been an interesting process, and I've enjoyed that a lot.
Yay. I mean, honestly, Kim, what can't you do? That's what I'm finding out. It's like you're just doing everything, and that's wonderful. I have loved and enjoyed spending some time with you today, and we are unfortunately, everybody, coming to the end of our program. But wait, we have one more fun thing for you. That's right, it's time for our creative craft. Kim has been a professional dancer for many years, and so she is going to teach us a really cool way to stop us from getting super dizzy when we spin and spin and spin, because I know that I love to just spin around sometimes, but I might get a little dizzy. So, Kim, why don't we take it away and you show us a cool trick that will stop us from getting super dizzy?
So here is a trick or a tip or a technique called spotting. So when you are doing turns like pirouettes or chaîné turns, these are classical ballet terms that I'm using. Many dancers spot, and we use our eyes. However, you can use your head and shoulders as the anchor, the base of the concept of spotting. When you're young, you learn how to spot. So look in the mirror, or you can look somewhere on your wall, or pick an item that you see in your vision in front of you, and you keep looking at that. And hopefully it's not too low, it's not too high, it's at the eye level. And you found your item. Did you find what you're going to keep your eyes locked on? Okay, I have something. So you go like this. You keep your eyes as you turn your shoulders, and you keep your head looking, and then you whip your head around, and then you continue turning your shoulders. And you do that repetitively. So you keep looking at your item that you're spotting, you look back, and then eventually you go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and to as many turns as you would like to do. So that is a technique called spotting. And if you do it so many times while you're traveling from one spot on the floor to the next spot, usually in chaîné turns, you might get extremely dizzy. Another trick we do as dancers to help the dizziness come back and recenter ourselves is put our hand in between our two eyes, and you just look straight forward. And that actually helps you feel recentered. So there you go. That's the spotting trick.
All right, everybody, you learned some pretty cool new ways in which you can turn as much as you want without getting dizzy. However, it is possible that you still might get dizzy. So you also have now a really cool technique to recenter yourself and find that balance. Thank you so much to our friend Kimberly Marie Olivier for stopping by Sunday Spotlight. It's time for now all of you to go and get creative. Keep shining, everybody. Bye.
Bye.